Hello there. Welcome to Blitz Transmissions. I'm Tommy, and this is the live stream for the reveal of the first ever Blitz Transmissions March Madness Order 66 edition. So before we get into things, I'm going to give it a minute to let people kind of trickle in. First thing I do want to do is just let you guys know I have been having some serious internet problems recently over the course of the last couple weeks, especially. There was an outage in my area last night. Allegedly, my internet provider took care of it. So if I drop out of the stream at random, can you guys in chat let anyone that's asking questions know that I dropped out? Just because, again, been having some internet issues recently. I just want to make sure I jump out in front of that if, the stream drops out of nowhere or if the quality drops. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope that we can just enjoy ourselves and enjoy this reveal of this very exciting thing. I have been putting so much effort and so much work into this. This is something that was an idea that was honestly hatched in part by other members of the community, as well as Brandon, Hero Collections, kind of sprouted the idea when I was on with the Out of the Basement Boys on Lazy Sunday. Because if you don't know, the only Black Series March Madness kind of like bracket that I'm aware of at the moment is the Lukeness Monster bracket. And a lot of people don't like that Lukeness puts so many clone troopers in his bracket. So I had kind of had the idea, well, you know what? Since clone troopers are so popular, and Brandon kind of pitched this to me as well, why don't we just do a bracket that's only clone troopers? So I thought that would be a fun idea, and here we are. That next day, I made some graphics. I think, actually, no, that night, I put some graphics together, and then I did a couple days of community polling. If you go check out on my Instagram, it's a pinned post. It was basically choose your troopers. If I'm going to do a clone trooper bracket, I was interested to hear what everyone had to say. What clone troopers did people want to see on the bracket? That's something that was important to me. Because I didn't want it to just be 64 choices that were all my own. I wanted the bracket to be something that, everyone could partake in, and that the choices that were being put on the bracket were ones that the community largely wanted. So let's just take a look at the chat real quick here, see who's in the chat. We've got Commander Bly. I've been looking forward to this. Lollipops. We have David Edge. What's going on? David Edge hates clones. He's anti-cloner. We've got Commander Cook. Also, do note that Commander Bly, David Edge, and Commander Cook are all channel members. If you want to check out my reviews early and things of that nature, go check out my channel membership, Rancor Battalion, linked in the description below. 99 cents a month. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so in that way, in an above and beyond way, and see all of my reviews early. If I get stuff from Big Bad Toy Store or a toy show, you can see all that and tell me what you want me to review first. We've got the Max Rebo Experience. What's going on, James? Another channel member. We got Stuck in Carbonite. What's going on, Evan? Hopefully we're going to jump on Xbox after I'm done here tonight. A super chat from Commander Bly, 199 super chat. 199 to kick Bly from the stream, or Blitz from the stream. Okay. All right. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate that. And we do have 123 Customs. Shout out to, this is Blaine from a new channel, the Cosmic Cantina. Make sure you go check those guys out. All right, now that we've kind of let some people trickle in here, let's get right to the meat and potatoes, shall we? So I'm going to first show you guys something here. Let's pull up. So I did have some polling data that I showed off here. And so this right here is the polling data for the submissions that you guys gave. So this is something that I thought would be really neat to show off, because as part of a community, a community-driven poll, I thought it would be really cool to give the community the opportunity to see how their data affected, the results. So I thought that would be interesting to show off. And I have some of those for you here today. If you want to check out, you might have already seen it. Some of this stuff, some of this data here from my Instagram, on YouTube. I posted it everywhere that I post on social media. I even put it up on my Patreon and things like that. So let's go over some of the data here. So I'm going to go over stuff, kind of one by one, slide by slide, and then we'll take a look here. So let's get this next tab open, which is going to be, first we're going to take a look at the submissions that you guys gave. So the submissions we had in total across YouTube, Instagram, and Discord, my Discord that being, there were 610 total submissions. 610. This was such a last minute thing. It wasn't something I was advertising. It just came out of the woodwork. So it was really, really awesome to see you guys really come together and come up with so many submissions in just a few days, especially on such short notice. So I really have to thank the community, the collecting community as a whole, and my fellow cloners out there for coming up with such a cool thing. And doing 610 submissions. It was difficult to keep up with, but I'm really glad that I kept up with it because it made it a lot of fun to put this data together for you. Of the 610 submissions, there were 163 unique clone troopers that were submitted throughout those 610. So you can obviously imagine that some of those clone troopers were definitely submitted multiple times. But across all of those submissions, having 163 different clones to choose from that could possibly be on the bracket. Literally, that's a full bracket of 64 clones plus another 99 on top of that. That's an impressive number, and that doesn't even honestly scratch the surface of the full number of the rank and file of named clone troopers and troop builders and things like that. This is just the stuff that got nominated by you guys this year. So I'm really happy to be sharing that with you all. I'm gonna try and check the chat out as we go here from this thing. David Edge admits that he's a begrudging cloner acceptor. Thank you, LMC. I really do appreciate you. This was it was a lot of work. It was definitely stressful, especially on such short notice, and I wanted to do it right. I'm definitely a perfectionist. So the fact that it's noticed that I was trying on it, I appreciate that. But this is something I'm passionate about. So I'm more than happy to dive headfirst into it and really put my all into it. We got Tangy in here. Everyone wish Tangy a happy birthday in the chat. Tangy says only 163. I know, right, dude? But once you see more of these numbers in depth, it's pretty cool. I bet the license doesn't have these numbers. Yes, thank you. And Bly wants a purple one. I want to. Guess what, guys? Speaking of a blue one, I got the figure that just got revealed today by Hasbro, the Tactical Ops Trooper. I actually got this early. This is the figure. Yeah, totally not the Clone Commander Apo figure. This is actually, I got it early. Everybody wish Tangy Fungus a happy birthday. And also shout out to the Stone Mandalorian. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. Everybody wish Tangy Fungus a happy birthday. It's his birthday today. What's up, Glow? How we doing, man? This guy is been a recent, very active member in my Discord. I appreciate you guys that are active in my Discord. So, all right, enough of me yapping. I'm going to get the next slide up here. This next one has a lot to do with more of the specifics of those 163 clone troopers. So a lot of these are going to be talking about specifically the 163 number of unique clone troopers that were shown off here. So let me make sure that I'm showing these off in the right order. I think this is the correct slide. Yes. Okay. So here we have our next one here. So there's, out of those 163 unique submissions, obviously I kind of wanted to show the groupings of what media these clones came from. And do notate at the bottom left here, all percentages that I'm showing in these next couple slides are approximate percentages. I am nowhere near a numbers guy. This is all approximate stuff. I didn't round all my decimals so that these numbers would add up exactly to 100. I think these add up to like 99.6. So there is, margin for error, but it's accurate numbers nonetheless. So obviously, I think the most astonishing number here is that out of these 163 different clone troopers that were submitted for the bracket, 86 clone troopers came from the Clone Wars show. Obviously, I think that makes the most sense. It's the most clone heavy show. It's got the most unique designs for trooper variants, named troopers, commanders, elite troopers, things like that, specialized troopers. And that actually makes up 52.7% approximately of that 163 number. So with that being said, I would say that this definitely shows there is a very strong demand for clone troopers, specifically from the Clone Wars. This next highest one, I did do these for the most part from highest to lowest. The Bad Batch. I was not expecting the Bad Batch to get so much representation in this list. Because not a lot of people are as nostalgic for the Bad Batch because it's a newer show, but it is really a continuation of Clone Wars. But it came in number 2 with 19 unique clones being submitted from the Bad Batch, coming out at a total of approximately 11.6% of the vote. Again, being the second highest here and also being about a quarter of what the number for the Clone Wars was, I really was surprised and impressed that the Bad Batch got so much representation from you guys, the community, because I'm a huge Bad Batch fan. I'm wearing a Bad Batch shirt right now, and I really would want to see more Bad Batch figures going forward. And I'm glad that the community pretty much agrees here. The third highest one was actually the Battlefront franchise with 16 different clones ranging from Star Wars Battlefront 2003 all the way up until Star Wars Battlefront 2 2017. I did both the EA versions and the old versions. 16 different clones coming out at 9.8%, just on the coattails of the Bad Batch here. And then next up, the fourth one was the prequel trilogy, mostly obviously being Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, with 12 different clone troopers that were submitted from either of those movies, coming out at 7.3%. This might seem low, but when you look at what already exists in the Black Series, a lot of clone troopers from the prequel trilogy do already exist in the line. I thought this was something that was really cool to look at. Especially considering, since we're coming down to the wire here, I also made a point when I did the polling. I made sure to say I will not be considering clone troopers that have already been done in the line. So there were, like, for example, a lot of people submitted they wanted a Phase 2 Coruscant Guard, the Shock Trooper, to be on the 2023 Clone Trooper sculpt. I did not consider those or use those in any of this polling data because that is a character that already exists in the line. With these brackets, I don't want to do so much re-releases of existing characters. I wanted to have it all be new looks for characters that don't yet exist. But yeah, so prequel trilogy came in at 7.3% there. So I'm going to again catch up with the chat here because you guys are definitely yappers, and I do appreciate. Happen. Okay, totally not the birthday. Again, just don't mind my internet as it ebbs and flows here because I've been having internet problems pretty frequently lately, and they're working on it in my area. Will this be rigged like your Patreon giveaways? I'm sure you will feel that way. Again, thank you for the $1.99, Bly. I appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah, there's really cool designs that come from the Battlefront franchise for clone troopers. So I do think that's a cool one. And we do have my boys over at Out of the Basement in here. What's going on, Justin? Appreciate you dropping into the chat here. We got my boy Sustin. All right, I'm gonna try and keep up with the chat here. Let me know how this is, and I'm sure if you guys have my number, make sure to text me and let me know you're being jammed by the OT purists. Yes, Caleb W. I think I am. Yeah, if you have my number, make sure to text me and let me know if my connection's coming in and out. That way I can kind of keep tabs on this stuff because this has been very frustrating lately. All right, so we're going to move on to the next slide here. So this is going to be like a part 2 of the media representation that I was just talking about. So here it is, the remainder of those numbers there. So taking a look here, we just talked about the Clone Wars being over half, followed by the Bad Batch, followed by the Battlefront franchise, followed by the prequel trilogy. The next one up here are clone troopers that come from books and comics. There were actually 7 different clone troopers that were submitted among the 163 submissions for unique clone troopers that were from books and comics. I thought that was a cool representation, especially because those can be a lot more obscure than especially like your ones that we've seen on screen. That totaled out to about 4.2%. And then, of course, we have the 2003 Clone Wars. I was going to just call it Clone Wars instead of the Clone Wars. But being from, 2003, I think a lot of people get them confused. So I just made sure to put the year there. There were 5 unique clone troopers that were given from that show, especially being a micro series and being over 20 years old, pushing 25 years old now. I think it's pretty cool that there were still 5 clones that were submitted. That comes out at about 3%. And then last year, it's just kind of like our catch-all. This is, Hasbro clone troopers that they made up around the release of Revenge of the Sith. You've got concept art clone troopers from either like unfinished Clone Wars episodes or someone even submitted like the concept art for Commander Gree for Revenge of the Sith, which I thought was really cool. So this was just kind of the last little catch-all. And there were 18 clone troopers among all those different kind of that umbrella of media there. And that came out to about 11%. But again, because this is like a hodgepodge of a bunch of different groupings, I didn't really consider it to be like a big group here. But nonetheless, I did feel like that was cool to talk about there. We got internet problems can only mean one thing: invasion. You've got that right. I don't think that that's happening. I don't think that one's going to happen. That one's a pretty intricate figure. And again, another super chat. Thank you, Stone Mando, for the $4.99. And make sure to go check out the stream I just did with Stone Mando earlier this week. Okay, let's kind of move things along here. I'm yapping a lot. You guys know. If you know me, you know I'm a yapper. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here as far as the stats go from the polling is the types of clones that were submitted. Again, this is of the 163 unique submissions. This is not the 610 number. This just has to do with the 163 number. And again, note at the bottom left, all percentages are approximate. I think if you add up all these percentages, it comes out to 99% instead of 100. And that's just because I didn't care to round up the decimals and round them down to get exactly 100. But they are approximate. So the first grouping here is ranked clones. So that is your sergeants, captains, commanders, any sort of trooper that has a rank or a command status. And that came out to, out of the 163, there were 47 different clone troopers that were submitted for this list, this bracket, that are ranked clones. And that comes out to about 28.8%. So almost a third of the clone troopers that were on this list are ranked commanders. And I think that that's really cool. It says a lot about how many unique designs. Obviously, a lot of these come from the Clone Wars show. It says a lot about how much people want these because they have a lot of cool, striking colors and armor sets and things like that. And I think that's really neat. So next up here, after the commanders, are named troopers. So in this number, I'm not including the commanders. This is a number on top of that 47 number we just saw. So the named troopers, like your grunts or just, clones that maybe aren't in combat per se, but still have a name, that came out to 54 unique clones in that kind of umbrella there. And that came out to 33.1%. Again, right on the cusp of being a third of the submissions. Now, what's really, really cool about this last number here, and it just goes to show how much Hasbro could really take advantage of some of the troopers that are on this list. 62 of the 163 submissions were troop builders, and that comes out to 38%. And I think that that's a very striking number. A lot of people submitted a lot of different troop builders, and obviously the beauty of a troop builder is you buy more than one. So I really did think that was cool, and it's cool to see that the community, honestly, it's a pretty good spread here. All these numbers are pretty close together. We see a pretty even spread of commanders, named grunts, and other troopers, and then the troop builders as well. I think that's a really cool one to show there. Nardwar level research. I appreciate that. Let's see. Let's keep looking here. We got Fig Fury in the chat. MFB Unk. What's going on, Fig? How we doing? So now we got Mechanized in the chat. I want a blue one. Look at early Clone Trooper reveal, guys. The Blitz Transmissions exclusive reveal of the Tactical Ops Trooper that was revealed today. Aside from that, though, let's get back to our last two slides here, the polls, and then we'll show off the bracket. So these next two here, I really wanted to make sure I made a point to explain, because while this was a completely community-driven poll and the community completely drove what clones ended up making out of that 163, making those top 64 for that bracket, Nate, you want a red one? I want a red one. What's going on, Nate? I did want to point out there were some troopers that could have made the list that I ended up axing from the list for the sake of a more diverse list with, more diverse armor sets and, named troopers, things of that nature. So, and again, a lot of these were like just, kind of cut off from the bottom of the list there, because of these troopers that I ended up taking out of the list. I omitted these from the list. So the first grouping that I want to talk about here is these guys here. So this group of clones, worth mentioning, is the Bad Batch Season 3 clones. These are the guys that are part of the Clone Underground. You see them in Season 3, Episode 6, Infiltration, okay? These are the guys that Captain Rex and Captain Hauser are kind of leading in the Clone Rebellion, essentially, kind of trying to save clones across the galaxy. What I wrote here is that all of these troopers that you see pictured here, along with 3 or 4 others that also show up in this episode, each individually had enough votes to, and they were in the bracket. But for the sake of making the bracket more diverse and, not just having, so the purple one, I want a purple one, I want a green one, I want a brick colored one, and I want a red one. The purple one on the left here, his name is Samson, and then the one on the green one here, his name is Greer. Okay, but these other ones don't have names, and a lot of the other ones don't have names either. And I didn't really want to just have like a bunch of troopers that were unnamed troopers on the list when there again were some other ones that were just below them on the list that I feel like would have benefited the bracket a lot more. So while these guys did get axed from the list, I did want to make a point to say these guys were extremely popular submissions from you guys. Out of the 610 submissions, these guys showed up a lot. And I really wanted to drive home that these guys could have made it on the bracket, but I chose not to put them on the bracket ultimately. And that's why I love democracy. I love the republic. Let's see. Yeah, it makes sense to cut these essentially, especially because like it's there's no way to like put them in there without literally putting Bad Batch Season 3 red one, Bad Batch Season 3 green one. It just would have been a mess, and I feel like it would have really clogged up the bracket. I want to give a shout out to Fig Fury for being a channel member for 2 months now. Shout out Unk Fig, MFB Unk. I want to walk it one. And then the last bit of news, the last little announcement on these that I have here is the other worth mentioning group. And this would be the Domino Squad Clone Cadets. These showed up in Season 3, Episode 1 of the Clone Wars, the season premiere for the 3rd season. Here we have Domino Squad. You have Heavy, Fives, Echo, Cut Up, and Droid Bait, all in their training gear. These guys also all showed up enough in the submissions, and all 5 of them initially made the cut to be in the 64 clone bracket. Heavy had a couple more votes than the others, though, so I ended up axing the other 4 from the list and just leaving Heavy on the bracket. There's a little spoiler for you. Heavy, in his training armor, is in the bracket. The reason I chose to do this was because the only thing that differentiates these 5 clones is the number on those green shoulder pads there. Aside from those numbers, they don't have their tattoos yet. They don't have unique haircuts yet. Literally everything about them is exactly the same, aside from the weapons that they carry. So because Heavy was voted a little bit more than the other 4 were, I kind of wanted to make sure that I had at least one of them on to represent that people did want this clone armor set in the bracket. However, I felt that it kind of made sense, again, just like with the Bad Batch, not to clog up the list with too many clones that are like basically exactly the same. While still making sure to mention with this slide here that these troopers were definitely wanted by the community, and they could have all been on the list had I strictly adhered to things. So just wanted to make sure that I showed that off there. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though, is with how specific this list is, I kind of wanted to make sure that every clone, is an individual. So if there is a slight difference between them, I didn't want to give people, the thought process of, oh, I could do this as like a multi-pack pick, and then they'd end up sweeping the bracket because of that. And then I got to give a shout out. I got to give this one to Fig Fury. Fig, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. I appreciate it a lot. I'm really excited to show you guys the bracket. I think it's about time I show you guys the bracket. What do you guys think? Yeah, exactly. They clones are individuals. You're grouping them. How dare you? Clone cadet with stamp for the different number, or you could give him the little put it under warm water and it changes. you could do that, right? Hey, dude, those are actually shoulder pads. All right, guys, but I think without further ado, it's time. Whoa, Fig. Whoa, not on stream. I think it's about time that I show off the full bracket. What do you guys think? Is it time to pull the bracket out here? Let me get the image pulled up. We'll get this pulled up here, and then I'll share my screen so you guys can see the bracket. And without further ado, this is the first annual Blitz Transmissions Order 66 edition bracket here. So guys, here is the full bracket with all 64 clones on it. This is the whole thing. This was super fun to put together. This is a custom bracket that I put together in my spare time. It was a lot of fun. I kind of wanted to make it look visually different. Again, I didn't want to really feel like I was copying what Lukeness Monster was doing. So I wanted to make sure that I had my own unique spin on the design of the bracket here. So I want to kind of show off the bracket here a little more in detail. So what we'll do is I'll make this a little smaller here, and then I'll kind of zoom in as we go here. But yeah, so I put a lot into this design. And again, these are the top 64 clone troopers. And the way that this is set up is, so this is in 4 quadrants. So you've got on the top left, on the top right, the bottom left, and then the bottom right. These are all going to be their own individual days of the rounds. And I'll kind of explain that more when I show off the schedule after this. But for now, this is how it's going to go. So like on day 1 of round 1, it'll be all of the round 1 picks from this side on the top left corner. And then day 2 of round 1 will be the top right. And then it'll go so on and so forth every round. And it'll be easier for you guys to kind of, keep up with how the bracket, what's going to happen next on the bracket. And if you kind of recognize that pattern, it makes it easier to kind of look ahead and kind of get your picks in place here. So before we kind of dive into the matchups here, I am going to just pull up a couple more chats here, because I saw a couple new faces in here. Kenobi Jabroni's in here. What's going on, Kenobi Jabroni? And we do also have my boy Phase 2 Action Review. What's going on, brother? How we doing? So I'm going to pull up some stuff here, and we'll take a look at the matchups. I was considering doing some pictures for all these, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, ugh, that would just be such a chore, wouldn't it? So these are seated like top to bottom, seed number 1 versus seed 64, So we do have over here, round 1 on day 1 is going to be the Galactic Marine from Revenge of the Sith versus the ARF Trooper from the Clone Wars, the basic white ARF Trooper. Then we're going to have ARC Commander Blitz versus the ATRT Driver from Revenge of the Sith. We're going to have Boyle in his Phase 1 clone armor versus Heavy in his training armor there. We're going to have Clone Trooper Dogma. I was really surprised. Some of these are kind of crazy that they made the list because this is all popular vote. I did not just go, oh, well, this one only had 1 vote, but I think it'd be fun to throw it in. Not a single one is like that. Every single one of these were in the top 64 by popular vote. Down here, we're going to have Dogma versus the Phase 1 Clone Commander Cody. And then over here, we've got Commander Mayday from the Bad Batch, and he's going to go up against Denal. If you don't remember Denal, he is Rex's right-hand man in the early seasons of the Clone Wars. And then our next matchup is ARC Commander Havoc, the blue ARC Trooper from Rancor Battalion versus Sergeant Hound. He's an ARF Trooper Sergeant for the Coruscant Guard. And then our next one here is the Phase 2 Wolfpack Trooper versus the Special Ops Clone. These are Commander Jet's clone troopers from the Second Battle of Geonosis. They're the ones that hang out with Ki-Adi-Mundi in the Clone Wars there. And then our final matchup, which will be showing up tomorrow on day 1, is Captain Fordo in his Phase 2 appearance from the second volume of the 03 Clone Wars versus Commander Bly in his Phase 1 armor. So let's take a look here. That's what I mean. I'm trying to explain the more obscure ones. Don't worry. When I do the polls, I will put pictures up for each option. So you guys will get a refresher on that. Phil the Bob is letting the people know how he feels. I don't care that he redeemed himself. Yeah, we got some good ones. Honestly, there's some heaters in all 4 corners of this bracket here. So now we're going to move on. This will be day 2 of round 1 right here. So our first matchup here is going to be the Kashyyyk Trooper, which is from Revenge of the Sith, your 41st Elite Corps. And then we have Commander Gree in his Phase 1 look from the Clone Wars. And then below that, we have Commander Thorn versus Captain Rex in his Snow Trooper gear from Season 1 of the Clone Wars. A lot of people voted for that one. That was a cool one to see. And next one here is going to be Clone Trooper Kix from the Umbara arc in his Phase 2 armor. He's the medic versus a comic character, Alpha 17, the OG ARC Trooper. And then down below that, we have Lucanus calls him Commander Gray, and I feel like I had a huge Mandela effect because I also thought he was Commander Gray. But apparently, according to StarWars.com and according to my vintage collection figure, he is Captain Gray, Depa Balaba's clone commander that slays her in the first episode of the Bad Batch. And then he's going to be pitted against the clone pilot from Revenge of the Sith. Next up here is Commander Doom. Everyone should know Commander Doom. Fun fact, Clone Commander Doom is a subtle reference to the Marvel Legends Doctor Doom character. Little treat for us real fans. Versus Clone Pilot Goji. Clone Pilot Goji is from the Clone Wars and the Zillo Beast arc. He's got some pretty cool paint on his head there. Clone bracket without pictures is crazy. How am I supposed to know what the blue... Don't worry, because like I said, when I do the YouTube polls, I will do those with pictures. Every single one will have a picture with it. When will the polls go up for voting? I'm going to show the schedule as soon as we go through the rest of these. I'll show you guys the schedule, and then the bracket and the schedule will get posted on my Instagram and my Discord and YouTube, everywhere else. So you guys will be able to keep track throughout the month here. But round 1 will start tomorrow. Our next little pair up here is Clone Commander Jet. He is like I just mentioned, leader of the Special Ops clones that hang out with Ki-Adi-Mundi on the Second Battle of Geonosis. And he's going to be pitted against Jesse in his Phase 2 appearance from the Umbara arc. And then down below him, we have Hardcase in his Phase 2 appearance from the Umbara arc versus the Scuba Trooper from the 2003 Clone Wars. If you remember the short episode with Kit Fisto. Very cool, very cool. And then down below, we have 99. Now, this was a really cool one that I saw submitted a couple times, and I was like, I really hope this guy makes the list. 99 did make the list. He's going to be up against Clone Trooper Reese, who shows up in the very first episode of the Clone Wars. He's one of the ones that hangs out with Yoda and kind of teaches them some life lessons. I want the wrinkly one. I want 99. I want the Hunchback one. Um, yeah, and see, you didn't know. Commander Doom is a subtle reference to Doctor Doom. All right, guys. enough with the jokes here. I'm going to get on to this will be day 3 of round 1 here. Here we have some more really cool some matchups here. You're going to have Captain Hauser versus Clone Pilot Matchstick. Matchstick is from the Malevolence arc in season 1 of the Clone Wars. He's the one that blows up in the Y-wing. And then down below him, we have our 212th Airborne from the Revenge of the Sith movie. And he's going to be up against Clone Commander Devis. Clone Commander Devis is essentially a red repaint of Bly from Revenge of the Sith. Very cool character. And I thought it was cool that such an obscure trooper from that movie that wasn't in the movie, obviously, but was in like encyclopedias and stuff, ended up getting enough votes to make the list. Next up here is Clone Trooper Tup from the Clone Wars. And he's the one that his Order 66 chip malfunctions and he ends up killing a Jedi in season 6. And he's up against Nemec. Nemec is one of the 41st Elite Corps clone troopers that shows up in the Bad Batch. He has like the brown stripes on the side of his head. Our next pair up is Clone Trooper Fireball, another one from Bad Batch seasons 2 and 3. He is a really cool character. And then down below him is a Phase 1 clone pilot from Attack of the Clones. Very, very cool. And then here we have Clone Commander Neo from Revenge of the Sith. And then this one here, I was laughing at myself. I had to put this in like 6 font to get this to fit in the box. This is the Phase 2 Heavy Trooper from Battlefront 2 2005. So this is the basically a Bakara reskin with a giant rocket launcher. And I thought it was super cool that a couple troopers from such an old video game showed up in this bracket. I thought it was really cool that Battlefront fans of the OG game really showed up and got a couple troopers from that game in here. Our next one is Captain Gregor, as he appears in the Clone Wars in his whole getup when we think he's dead for several years before he shows up in Rebels. And then we have the Blue Arc Trooper from the 03 Clone Wars. This will be an interesting matchup, I'm sure. Down below that, we have Clone Commander Pons. He's Mace Windu's clone commander in the couple first seasons of the Clone Wars before he's killed by Aura Singh on the Slave One. And then he's going to be matched up with the Scuba Trooper from the Clone Wars. If you remember the episodes where Kit Fisto, Anakin, Ahsoka, Padme fight on Mon Cala, these guys show up in there. It's pretty cool. And then our last matchup for day 3 is going to be the 41st Elite Corps, the landing pad scene from Revenge of the Sith. And those are the ones they show up in like the gray armor. I know Mr. Coffee just did a fantastic custom of that on his Instagram. If you want to check out Mr. Coffee's Instagram, this is another one that's really obscure, and I was surprised to see this one pop up on the list here. And then he's going to be up against Jack in his Phase 1 look. Jack is a clone trooper, another one that was with Reese and Lieutenant Thayer in the very first episode of the Clone Wars there. We got to catch up with the chat here. Watch those wrist rockets. A good Battlefront reference there. There is not a Commander Edge, but there is a clone trooper named Edge. He is in the Brain Invaders episode. He is one of the clone troopers that gets the Geonosian brain worm in him. Green Devis. Yeah, I remember Green Devis. Yeah, that's a cool one. But yeah, we're going with I want the red one for this one here. Yeah, Hauser, man. Hauser's a popular character, dude. Jek 14. That one made me smile. Jek 14, the Lego character. That one made me smile. All right, guys, we're going to check out the fourth and final day here of round 1 of the poll. So this will be day 4 of round 1. So you guys are going to get, for these first 4 days, you're going to get 8 polls a day that you get to participate in. So our first one's going to be Captain Keeley. He hangs out with the Jedi Master Amagun-Dai. They absolutely sacrifice themselves so that supplies can get to Ryloth. He's up against, this is another cool one. I'm really glad made it on the list. CX2, one of the main antagonists of season 3 of the Bad Batch. He's basically like Crosshair's antithesis. Very cool to have him on here. And then we have Arc Commander Colt, the red Arc Trooper from good lord, from Rancor Battalion. And then he's the one that gets stabbed by Asajj Ventress. And then he's paired up with Clone Trooper Comet in his Phase 2 appearance. Funnily enough, this is the only Wolfpack Trooper that's named that's on this list. Sinker and Boost did not make the list, but Comet did. Our next matchup is the Flame Trooper from the Geonosis arc of the Clone Wars. And he is paired up with the Clone Engineer, the Phase 2 Engineer from Battlefront 2, 2005. Another really, really cool one. And then down below that, our next matchup is the Ordnance Specialist. Most people know them as the Bomb Squad Troopers from the Blue Shadow Virus arc of the Clone Wars. And then he is paired up with Clone Captain Locke, who is Eathcoth's Clone Captain. And then over here, we've got, this one will be interesting because I know these are both highly desired. Captain Vaughn from Season 7 of the Clone Wars, and he's paired up with Commander Fox in his Phase 1 look here. Down below that, we have Waxer in his Phase 1 look versus Clone Commander Stone. Commander Stone is from the Clone Wars. He's the one that helps Jar Jar Binks on Florum free Obi-Wan and Anakin from Hondo Ohnaka. And then our next pair up here is Arc Commander Hammer, the forgotten Arc Commander of the Rancor Battalion. And he's paired up with the 212th Recon Division. These are your basic 212th ARF troopers from that. Mute myself. Don't mind the sirens that just went by my house. And then our final matchup for round 1, this will be the last one for day 4 of round 1 here, is Clone Commander Phil. And Clone Commander Phil shows up in the episode in Season 1 where, who is it? Kit Fisto and his old apprentice Nadar Veb go to Grievous's lair. This is that clone commander that ends up dying in that episode. He's up against Lieutenant Thyre. Lieutenant Thyre later becomes Commander Thyre in Revenge of the Sith. He's also in the very first episode of the Clone Wars. The OT police are on their way. I like real Star Wars. If you like clone troopers, you're stupid. We got Jango Fett, and he's brought his head. Officer Glup Shitto's at the door right now. Detective Shitto. And then, yeah, OG Battlefront love. It was cool to see not one, but 2 characters from the original Battlefront 2 show up on there. But yeah, guys, I'll reduce the image again here. I'm again going to post all this on Instagram and stuff. But here is the full bracket. I think it's pretty cool. I think this was super fun to make. And I'm really glad that that you guys are enjoying it. I'm really excited to see how the polls go, too. This is going to be fun to keep up with over the course of the month. Now, while we're talking about that, I think it would make the most sense to show you guys the schedule before we wrap things up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready to present my screen one last time and go to my downloads real quick and open up this image for the March Madness 2025 schedule. So let's take a look here. We'll get this pulled up. The March Madness 2025 schedule. Boom. Here it is, guys. So we literally have just enough days in the month by executing Order 66 on March 6th to go through every single day with our bracket here. So again, kind of how I was talking about before, the bracket is broken up into quadrants. When I post it later, you'll probably be able to pick up on that if you missed it in the stream where I explained it. Today is the day of the bracket reveal, and I'll try as close to 6 a.m. Eastern time as I can to post the polls. But yeah, so round 1 will start tomorrow. There will be 8 polls a day for round 1. That'll go 4 days. And then on next Tuesday, I'll reveal the winners and we'll move on to round 2. And then on Wednesday, the 12th through Saturday, the 15th, we will have round 2 running. Again, 1 day for each quadrant of the bracket here. And then on Sunday, the 16th, we'll have round 3 revealed. And then that'll run for 4 days, 1 day for each quadrant. We'll have our quarterfinals on Friday, the 21st, and that'll run for the next 4 days for the quarterfinals to figure out the winner of each, quadrant of the bracket. And then on Wednesday, the 26th, the semifinals will be revealed based on the winners of the quarterfinals. And then we'll have 2 days of semifinals. And then on Saturday, the 29th, it'll be the finals reveal. The finals will happen. The vote will happen on the 30th. And then our winner will be announced on the last day of the month, being March 31st. And that pretty much explains the schedule for the March Madness bracket. I will be posting this again, like I said, on my social media, as well as the bracket as each wave goes through, so that you guys can kind of prepare your choices. And as I do the polls each day, I will have pictures of each trooper there. So while I did not do it for the stream, I will make sure to include pictures there. So I'll get rid of this. And let me know, do you guys have any questions for the bracket? I'll pull up the bracket one more time here. And then if you guys have any questions about the bracket, the polling, anything like that, I will answer those now. So I'm going to pull this up here. We'll get the bracket pulled up so you guys can take a look at it one more time. Let's see. Again, I'm really excited to do this. This was a ton of work. I literally spent like 7 hours today putting together like graphics and making sure everything was squared away. Yeah, Tangy, I appreciate it. This was so much fun to do. This is, again, this hobby is my passion, and this was a lot of fun to just put together for everyone. Cook says 41st Scout for the win. I have a feeling Kashyyyk Trooper is probably going to sweep this entire top right quadrant here, and then he's just going to work his way right down to the finals. But we'll see. Just because he won the popular vote for the submissions doesn't mean that he'll necessarily do well. All it's going to take is like a bunch of 08 Clone Wars heads to come in and really ruin things for some of these Revenge of the Sith picks. How did you decide which characters are going to go against each other? So yeah, so the way that they do this usually is they have like seeding. So there's like 1 through 32 seeds, and they'll put like the first seed with the 32nd seed, and then the second seed with the 31st seed, and they work their way in towards the median. The way that I did mine, I just went 1 through 64. So seed number 1 was Galactic Marine. Seed number 64 was ARF Trooper. And then I did seed number 2 on Quadrant 2. So this Kashyyyk Trooper was seed number 2. And seed number 63 was, who is that? Clone Commander Gree in his phase 1 look. So I kind of would go one pair for each bracket. Or each quadrant of the bracket, to kind of break it up so that we didn't have like all the heavy hitters in one corner and then all like, the kind of middle of the ground ones in another. I feel like it really split it up nicely. Let's see. Jack is different than Jack 14. Jack 14 is a force sensitive clone that literally has an arm made of the force, and he's also a Lego character. Commander Cook did a custom of him in the Black Series. It looks pretty damn cool. Let's see. Did anyone submit the ARF Shock Trooper with the Tusken Dog? That would be cool. So that is Sergeant Hound, and Sergeant Hound is on the bracket. So I will be posting him as one. But yes, he is on that Sergeant Hound. I just want to say I'm super happy for Tommy getting this Hasbro requested topic. OOTB is going to do our own thing, similar to TVC's Last Figure Standing. Super complex process, but this will be worth it. Yes, this is, I think it's great that we as a community are kind of taking things into our own hands, and, channels are just kind of, I want to see something, I'm going to do it, rather than just doing what a lot of people do and just watch from the, Monday morning quarterback chair and complain about how things are. It's cool that you guys are making your own bracket, and that, I'm doing my own bracket. We're taking what we don't like about things and making things how, better in our eyes, at least, for ourselves and for the community. It's gonna be fun to do some clones here. Trying to keep up with the chat. I don't want to miss anybody's questions. Let's see. Gotta love clones. I did my 5 picks. But was there an actual limit? No. If you wanted to comment every single clone ever to exist, I would have put down 1 tally for every single clone ever to exist. So yeah, if by the way, Commander Bly, is that Commander Bly? You're copywriting. Commander Bly is in the chat right now, and he's got that copyrighted, that suit there. But yeah, no, you could have literally put as many as you wanted, and I would have put them all on the tally. So no, there was no limit. Let's see here. Yeah, they didn't make it this time, but I feel like what's going to happen is this as I do it more years in and out, I feel like it's only going to grow in reach. And what happens naturally with that is, you know, people naturally get more obscure with what they want to see because, you know, people don't want to see the same 64 clones on the bracket every single year. So things are going to move around naturally. And you very well could see some of those Hasbro originals on there, which I would love to see too. I appreciate it, Caleb. Thank you for the compliment. Let's see. But yeah, where's Hybrid? Hybrid is scheming. Hybrid is scheming right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I literally thought about doing this right here, doing 66 clones. But yeah, man, I might do it in the future, but I don't know. I feel like executing Order 66 on the March 6th is enough here. OOTB poll be like Death Star Gunner versus 9 Nub. would run for one day. Oh man. But yeah, and thank you, Bly, for the $4.99 super chat. I do appreciate that. Shout out to Blitz for supporting small channels like OOTB. Always love supporting my small channels. Go check out the last Lazy Sunday live stream where I was on with Justin and Nate, Dustin and Tate, Sustin and Bait from OOTB. But yeah, guys, if anybody else has any questions, feel free to fire them off here. Once we end the stream, I will just be posting this picture you see here, and I'll also be posting the schedule. And you guys will be able to see. I'll also post like zoom in photos of the bracket here, so you guys will be able to read the names because they are in some pretty small font. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. This is super fun. I'm excited to see people participate in these polls and see, you know, who wins and how things move along here. I'm interested to see who will take the win for 2025 as the most wanted clone trooper for Order 66 here. But yeah, I'll give it a couple more minutes here. Nobody has any questions. I will get moving. When's that occurring? I'm assuming he's talking to OOTB because they are also working on a bracket of their own. And that's going to have everything to do with the rest of the Star Wars universe, not specifically clone troopers, as mine is here. And that'll be cool to see those guys put that together. But yeah, if nobody else has any questions, I'm just going to get out of here and we'll post this stuff online. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching the stream. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for if you submitting clones and helping me, put together what I think is a really good, diverse spread of clone trooper, different suits, different ranks, different names from different media. I think this is a really, really good spread voted by you, the community. I'm not going to say who I want to win. I'm not going to say, because if I say, I feel like it's going to skew the vote. But yeah, so yeah, can't wait, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and I'm gonna get posting this. I got to get ready to post some polls bright and early in the morning, guys. So I hope you all enjoyed the stream. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again for supporting this. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'll catch you for the next one. And may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 4-2, pick your target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. Gotta hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. Where's our reinforcements?